Hello, President Biden and Obama and the State Department. Um, I am constantly on the run from zombies and lucid delusions, including loud vehicles. Um, there's a bunch of musicians and artists who want to accommodate me, and I can toe the line for the United States and Israel. Okay? When I went to the consulate, they just stared at the computer. There was no welcoming at all there. Okay, that's because my dad didn't grow up on the East Coast. His younger brother did, and had a really good Jewish friend and a totally different lifestyle and perspective. Totally, not perspective, but yeah, effectively yes. Um, and the problem with Hamas and the conservatives, the Christian nationalists, is that they're misinterpreting the Bible. The Bible. Okay, they want to abort George Washington completely. Some jelly beans delusion. Ronald Reagan's taxation, actually, um, that it's about the Immaculate Conception. If you've ever heard about anything from Christianity, that is the number one thing. It has nothing to do with thou shalt not abort. Okay, it says don't worship false gods. It does say that, right? And it also says the Immaculate Conception, or the cradle. That should be easy for the world economies, okay? With all the love in the world and all the respect. Without the Professor Moriarty propaganda antagonism, which I know a lot of people in Hollywood, they went, oh my God, we didn't understand that. I thought when Terry Gross said Spielberg is doing a Bridge of Spies because they've got clean underwear or something like that, they do at least. I thought that they comprehended the entire thing, that Michael Jackson he was just a guy with a bunch of older siblings, like George Floyd, who was doing a bunch of drugs, okay, recklessly. That's the African American, okay, that is for sure. The baby of the family is either a girl, like Whitney Houston, who was also doing drugs, but maybe it's because we didn't know who her older brother was, I don't know. We knew who LaToya was, okay? That's Michael Jackson. Well, at least my parents did. They were heavily tuned into that stuff. Yeah, it's about the Immaculate Conception. It's about a whole bunch of things which I can compose, and I would have done this for the Israelis. It's some sort of Professor Moriarty evil conspiracy. That's stupid. That's why so many innocent people are dead, including us not going to New York City in 1972, okay? I know how President Beau Biden feels about that, about us going to Florida like Trump instead of going to New York like an artist who really cares. Like, imagine John Lennon. You could also say President Lenin, whichever you are thinking with some fascist mentality. When last forever, I've been troubling to contact with experts, to actually live with experts. Okay? And there's a whole bunch of musicians who could accommodate that with total ultimate security. Okay, and I would gladly study in Israel. I just know nothing about it. And it's like being I was effectively a father at age 7. Okay, if I had had a little brother, I'd be like a professional golfer, like Phil Mickelson, with his big sister. Instead, I could not get married because my brother was ultimate competition, and my little sister was the only Wild West reality. That's okay. A guy with a Christian name has to deal with that. George Washington. I I want to work with those people who care. Okay. I do have a bunch of designs, but I don't have these instant answers. I think that's what the Israeli consulate was looking for, someone who came in there with Asperger's and started blurting out stuff. You know, something from the Bible or something with Hebrew scripture, like, oh, I've been trained in this completely. We are going, I don't need a girlfriend, I just want to, you know. Without love, what are you going to do? Okay? Be a desperado. I don't want to be a desperado. I want to be with people who really care and have a secure place, preferably in the United Kingdom. Okay, and be there, securely without any uncertainties. That's my whole life. Is that having to deal with dangerous gangsters and jelly beans. Okay, and paparazzi, Sunset Magazine, that puts John Lennon in. Okay? And that is just the tip of the iceberg, going back to Teddy Roosevelt. There should have been a sanctuary. He should have done that. Instead, there's like one giant conspiracy based on some delusions. I will help correct those for the Middle East and for America and everything in between. I have that vision, and East Asia can develop their ultimate economies without the conspiracies. Okay, I was the whole entire time I was over there, I scarcely met any well-spoken. I did meet a few people from China who spoke decent English from the north. I remember it was in Seoul, Korea. I met these slightly overweight Chinese people near. It was very near that tower thing that. I'd go down there quite frequently. I don't know what I was doing. I'd go down there late at night too, and there was no one around. But it was during the day I met these Chinese people. It was busy, heavy traffic, and I was talking to them. They said, "Oh yeah, you should come, but don't come in the winter." And there's one other thing: if you don't have a visa, you can't actually go to China, right? As far as I know. And if I had to do any of that, if I had to deal with sort of ambivalent people or people who incoherent, didn't speak English, weren't educated, weren't on the same page as me, it's impossible. That's what happened to the kibbutz, the consulate. No one was there to actually help me. They were just there to stare at their computer. The lady was not happy to see me. If we had been in Florida and I had gone to school there, I might have actually known what to do. But I didn't live on the East Coast, ever. I never went to school there. My uncle did. He probably could have taken me to the Israeli consulate and maybe talked it through, but my parents are from the Midwest, Chicago. Bobby Fischer was born there. That makes him the terrorist, doesn't it? The communist? Whatever. So, who's the guy? Al Capone, the baby of the family, Chicago. That's the criminal, right? The FBI knows this. That's their playbook, I believe. What's the guy? What's the damn Hoover? Jagger, isn't it? He probably says, "Oh yeah, anyone from Chicago has got a continental name or a evil professor name or a British George Washington. Let's blah 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 blah." George Washington, Milwaukee. That's my grandfather. He's the tall guy with the little sister and the brothers who grew up in the Wild West. Not anyone else. Okay, not what's the guy? Godfather. Not Al Capone, but the other guy. Okay. And when I went back to California in 2001, I was really depressed. It was bad in Australia because I was in the heat. And Latin America, when you're tired especially, can be just a nightmare. And that's all there really is there where I grew up. So I figured that, that I don't know. I shouldn't have gone online. It was a total folly. And for people on the networks to be instantly telling me, oh, you did it wrong, we're going to like pull puppet strings and crack the whip from our media throne, from our ivory tower. We're going to crack the whip down here and act like we actually care. That's what's going on right now, the same thing. Okay. And my friend Dominic Douglas, who President Barack Obama could identify with, YOLO man, would love to do gay porn. I'll actually invite him and chaperone the whole thing and make horrible jokes. But if you don't find me someone who I'm actually compatible with, I'm going to be depressed, and there's probably going to be Bondi stabbings because 007 is, in some delusion. Skyfall with the, oh, Bond, popping your pills, are you? What is up with that? They're selling pills? Is that what they're trying to do? Or the pervert thing? It's like, oh, this is really, boy, how exciting. On a deserted island off of deserted coal island with a pervert, deserted coal island off the coast of Japan or Korea with a criminal pervert. Oh boy, that cannot be Jeffrey Epstein nor Richard Branson. I'm sure the image just didn't look anything like him, did it? Oh boy. I have met some really nice Indian people as well, and East Asian people who are just like lots of fun, who aren't zombies, okay? And my mom and dad knew him around the time they got married, okay? It's the Vietnam War in a nutshell, simply because the Irish encountered an East Asian element that they were sort of schizophrenic about. Kennedy and taking drugs and suddenly Johnson and all that political upheaval based on my great-grandfather going to the Wild West, being in a village of the natives or right next to it. And that's that Rosebud, engineers of the Rosebud, I think, would be killers of the Flower Moon. Teddy Roosevelt, romancing the photo opportunity and the technology, but not finding the George Washington. That would have been my great-grandfather, and the next Roosevelt would have been my grandfather. And Rockefeller just sucking up all the money because Roosevelt also didn't care. And I wish those musicians and Hollywood people who cared would have pre-approved agreement to just come and meet me, okay? And we'll go. And you guys can brief me on everything, and I will support that stuff as soon as I understand it. If I don't understand it, I'm confused. I'm like, what do you guys, I don't understand this. I didn't have the education that you guys had. If you educate me, I will toe the line for the West and our allies.